Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days of the Year. Each day will spotlight a remarkable woman whose story has shaped Black, British or global diasporic history. Women whose achievements are too often overlooked. Through these daily short films, we create a living, breathing archive of leadership, creativity, resistance and legacy. Let's begin.
My name is Dr. Nydia A Swaby, and I'm a Black feminist researcher, writer, and curator. My practice brings together archives, museum collections, and contemporary art to explore the past, presence, and futures of Black diaspora. I'm currently curator of The Atlantic and an Empowering Curators Fellow at Royal Museums Greenwich in London, where I'm developing Black feminist and diasporic approaches to interpreting the museum's Atlantic collections. Much of my current research focuses on historic photography produced through Britain's maritime presence in West Africa and the Caribbean. And I'm really interested in what happens when we approach these collections through Black feminist ways of seeing. That is, when we pay attention not only to what an image shows us, but also to what the interpretation leaves out, what perspective is missing, and what might still be present in those silences. Alongside my curatorial practice, I'm on the editorial board for Feminist Review, where I'm a part of a collective of editors working to nurture feminist scholarship, activism, and cultural practice. And I'm particularly invested in work that expands feminist knowledge, so nurturing Black feminist and diasporic scholarship, but also creative and experimental and practice-based forms of knowledge making. Last year, I published my book, Amy Ashwood Garvey and the Future of Black Feminist Archives, which drew out of a decade of research into the life and activism of Pan-African feminist Amy Ashwood Garvey. And through that research, I brought together archives into conversation with photography, autoethnography, and my own family history, asking what's possible when we don't treat absence as the end of the story. And I'm currently developing that research into an artist film, which extends some of these questions into a moving image and creative practice. I'm also a mother, and motherhood has opened up another set of questions for me. So I'm writing a new book that draws on my own journey to conceive a child, to think about what archives tell Black women about our reproductive value, but also about the many ways in Black women have always mothered beyond biological kinship. So although my work takes many forms, it all belongs to the same Black feminist practice. I'm interested in Black histories as living, relational, and unfinished, and how archives, photographs, objects, and stories might tell us something about who we've been, but also help us to imagine who we might become. It's difficult for me to name one person because I think of myself as being shaped by a constellation of Black women. And together they've taught me that knowledge isn't something that we make alone, it's something we inherit and we share and we make together. For example, Zora Neale Hurston really showed me the power that attending to everyday Black life and treating storytelling as a serious form of knowledge. Alice Walker's idea of looking for Zora taught me the power of recovering Black women's histories. As a Jamaican woman, writers like Louise Bennett, Lorna Goodison, and Olive Senior have given me a way of thinking about Jamaican women's lives, their language, their memory, their storytelling, and also really made me feel connected to Jamaica as a place from which my own imagination can emerge. Scholars like Saidiya Hartman and Christina Sharp have changed how I think about archives. Tina Campt, Lee Rayford, Marilyn Nance have transformed the way I think about photographs. And Black feminist thinkers and practitioners like Barbie Asante, Ego Ayuwe Swinsky, Eula Burren, and Emma Walakal Wanambwa have shaped how I approach archives and how I work with them critically and creatively to reimagine what they can be. But that constellation also lives much closer to home. I find that in my mother, Grace, my grandmothers, Mary and Iris, my aunts, Gloria, Jackie, Rose, and Sharon, my cousins, Janelle, Fafa, Nadine, and Natasha, and friends like Aisha, Barbie, Joyce, Lola, Nana, Selena, Sabrina, Uchenna, Tara, and Rambi. They've all taught me so much about care and friendship and what it means to be in relationship with other Black women. And I'm so grateful for their friendship. People might assume that because I spend so much of my time in archives and museums, I'm someone who's always looking backwards, but I'm not. I'm actually really interested in history, or I'm not interested in history for its own sake. I'm interested in what history makes possible. So for me, an archive isn't the end point. Doing archival research isn't the end, it's the beginning. I want to start with a found photograph, a family album, or an object in a museum collection, and to really think about what happens next and how can we work together to imagine a new present and future through this material. I think people then might be surprised how hopeful my work is, given that I spend a lot of time working with archives on slavery, colonialism, displacement, and a lot on loss. Black history isn't only about suffering, it's also about creativity, intimacy, inspiration, love, joy, family, community, music, and all of those things can also be found in the archive. And so those are the things I'm also interested in generating with even the most difficult archival material. Holding all of that together feels deeply important to me because Black life has always exceeded what the archive can tell about us, what it's willing to record, and so I think we can do so much more with it too. I've become much better at understanding that my creative work has its own rhythm and that my scholarship has its own rhythm. And I'm really learning that that is a part of the process too, that rest, reflection, conversation with friends, binge watching TV, reading a book, not reading a book, all of that is a part of my creative process. And I think motherhood has even made me more protective of my time and energy, and that it's forced me to really be present with my child. And it probably goes without saying that I find a great deal of joy in being Black. I love being around other Black people. I love our humor and our creativity and the ways we tell stories and the way we make beauty and care for one another and the way we can recognize something in each other without always having to explain it. And I love the thought that some of the work I do or some of those interactions I have with people might become a part of their thinking or their making or their imagining or their living, and that these conversations and ways of sharing with each other can continue long after I'm gone.
Thank you for joining us for today's story. Making the Invisible Visible is our commitment to ensuring that Black women's histories and contributions are recognised, valued and kept in daily circulation. Across 2026, we will continue to share these powerful narratives, 365 days of impact, brilliance and inspiration. Stay connected, join the conversation and help us champion the women whose journeys continue to shape our world. I'm Paulette Brooks, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next story.